Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look here at Sandbox, kind of see what's going on there. I got a lot of requests recently as to, why is it pumping here right now? What's going on? Hopefully we can address that. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the basic stuff, of course. And while we get this set up, I do want to let you know I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to trade. And this is my day job. I do this every day for work. And I can tell you it's very realistic and extremely, I guess, lucrative if you are smart and careful and cautious. And obviously, you don't FOMO in all the time. So, regardless of that fact, I have a trading academy and community that I'm rolling out with next month. Be sure to check that out. We're going to be transitioning from Patreon to a website, and I'll provide that information first of the month. But for now, I can tell you, though, that really awesome experience, amazing community, over 400 members currently, and that just keeps on growing. So, taking a look here at Sandbox. What we want to do is look at a couple of key indicators and work our way down. I prefer to start with a one-day chart and work my way down because I think it's really important to extract information from every time frame and not to overwhelm yourself with too many indicators as well. So I'll try to hopefully explain that along the way here. Now, taking a look at the one day, of course, our simple moving averages, we got the 50 and the 200. We're trending right in between both of them, right? So neither are considered to be a support or resistance for the moment, but the 50 might be tested here in the near future, depending on how Sandbox continues to progress. We might see some key level resistances, which we can tell here on the Fibonacci retracement that we've seen already. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but we are trending closer to 50 in the RSI on the one day. We can break above 50 in the RSI on the one day. It's an extremely good sign. Okay. Now, right now, it's extremely good that the price has bounced off of 30 or back up over 30 and trending towards 50. So those are all positive signs. But I prefer to trade coins that are above 50 and under 70 on the RSI on the one-day chart. I think that's a good feeling. You also want to kind of have that as well on the 4-hour too. Here's something that's really cool too. We got a MACD convergence on the one day. So looking at this, if you were to look at the one-day MACD convergence, you would be thinking to yourself, well, hey, the momentum is finally shifting, right? We have, this because you see these two bullish trends followed by a strong bearish divergence and then another bullish. You can tell that, there's a correlation, right? So if we kind of look at this close, you can see Sandbox recovered here and then tapered off. But that was ever since late December, and late December has been / early January is terrible for Bitcoin, right? So Sandbox couldn't sustain, it had to kind of sell off because it was a profitable coin for a lot of folks, and that inevitably caused the price to come down. So this MACD convergence is nice, but just note that it's kind of necessary in a sense based on the simple fact that it's been selling off for roughly almost a full month, okay? So bear that in mind. What goes down must come up essentially, and it's finally coming back up. Now, it's not to say that we're guaranteed to continue to progress higher. I want you to be careful and cautious not to just go jump right in and expect to see $6, $7, $8 from Sandbox. That may happen, right? There's no guarantees, but the likelihood of it happening is lower as we continue to get higher in price. Just bear in mind too that Bitcoin has done well in the last 3 or 4 trading days in general, and it hasn't had any significant red days, so to speak. Yes, we had a good 8 to 12 hours of strange behavior during the release of that news, I believe on Wednesday, but since then it's done very, very well, right? All things considered, Bitcoin's looking, I guess, stable for the moment. So Sandbox is likely taken off, right? So there's kind of a correlation there, but just know that MACD convergence on the one-day chart, while it's good, it's not a foolproof certainty. Okay, we want to look at other factors and see if there's anything else telling us that, right? So for now, though, the macro looks good for the moment. We've got a lot of good indicators telling us that Sandbox should be back on track, right? That's kind of what it's telling us. Looking at the 4-hour here, we're up over the 50-day SMA, which is fantastic. We love to see that as well. So that's a great midterm shift in momentum. We're up closer to 70 on the RSI. I don't love that because honestly, anything over 70 on the RSI on the 4-hour can be detrimental, but it's nice that it's kind of hanging out below and not truly breaking above. So this consolidation that we're having right now for Sandbox is a good sign right around 380 based on the fact that it's kind of testing this resistance at about 388/390. So we could have a buy wall there essentially, or I guess more so a sell wall rather, where the price is, they're keeping the price down, not wanting to go much higher. So be aware that oftentimes when we consolidate like this, the likelihood of breaking to the upside is higher than it is to the downside, but there's still potential for the price to drop from here if we can't break it soon. Okay, so again, we need that momentum to continue. But if you do take a look at this here, you can kind of see this type of ascending pattern. Okay, continues to essentially bounce off of this little direction, and it could potentially break to the upside here. Again, the likelihood, if you were to throw a statistic out there, because again, 59% of statistics are made up on the spot, right? I would say generally speaking, though, in my experience, when you have an ascending wedge pattern like this, which coincidentally Bitcoin has right now as well, no surprise, right? It's going to probably break to the upside 60 out of 100 times or 60% of the time, right? That's just kind of what I experience. It's not all the time, but it's definitely more often than not that it'll happen. Okay. So again, if you're a 60-40 or gambling type, then I think the likelihood of it coming up is pretty high. Again, I don't like to gamble, but I can tell you that everything's looking pretty decent here so far on the macro, including the midterm. What we want to take a look at though is TD sequential and see we're at a 6 right now. So we do have potential for another 12 hours of bullish continuation of the upside. So we do break that. We could see a push to the next leg up here and possibly reject at about $4.20. Okay, so I could come up to 420, but I would say the likelihood of it doing that again is 60-40 at this point. And it could happen, but there's no guarantees, right? But once again, macro looks good. Midterm's looking pretty decent, right? I like to see everything here so far. So all in all, we're looking at overall a decent continuation. The likelihood of Sandbox continuing higher is greater than the likelihood of it turning around right now. Okay. Again, it's not fully exhausted, but it's about 2/3 the way through its progression. So in that sense, you want to be mindful here. Another half a trading day, 12 to 24 hours, it might actually turn around. The last thing we want to take a look at here is the 1 hour. Just to touch on TD sequential, we got a reset up at a 9. You can see it kind of consolidated there and it's testing again. So we could again see that would be roughly 9 to 12 hours worth of bullish continuation. That kind of reaffirms it. Ichimoku cloud has a green light on everything. So if we look at the Ichimoku cloud, we can see we're above the conversion lines above the baseline. We are well above the cloud. And of course, the lagging span hasn't intersected with any price action yet. So those are all good things. So until the lagging span touches the price action and or the conversion line comes below the baseline, we have no reason to want to close our position. Okay, that's generally what the Ichimoku cloud is telling us. So hypothetically, you got in around the 25th, roughly 4 days ago. You're probably sitting very pretty, and you want to continue to monitor that. And once it gives us that sell signal, you may want to consider selling because of the simple fact that it's a very conservative indicator, but it's made me a lot of money over the years. And I can tell you, this is probably one of the best indicators you can use. It's the most consistent to ensure that you are getting in when you're on the right side of the tracks, right? It allows you to get into a trade when the actual trade is moving the way you want to go. That's a big surprise, right? You're not trying to chase the bottom. Secondly, it'll tell you when to get out in most cases comfortably before you lose those profits that you've taken or you should have taken and or you should be in profit, in other words, okay? Because this would probably have given us a signal to go long somewhere in this range here, right? And then obviously the price is higher now and if you're to sell, you take profit. That's, again, the concept. So maybe in conservative, I don't know, I would take some profit here and consider writing out the rest. Maybe take 50% profit and then hold out the rest until you get to 420 and set that as the next target. But I teach this in my trading academy. You always want to set multiple profit targets and you always want to ensure that you are moving in the direction you want to head. Okay. And of course, stop loss is recommended too. You want to use a trailing stop loss if possible. And oftentimes only trading bots allow for you to do that. So I do recommend considering that. We have one in our community where you can one-click follow and effectively just go right straight through, or just create your own and have a trailing stop loss where, as soon as you hit your profit target one, it adjusts to break even. So you're always taking profits. Again, there's different schools of thought, but for Sandbox here, I would say that it's looking like it wants to continue to break out and continue higher. I would just consider taking some profits perhaps now in case it turns around and or $4.20 being the next profit target because that is the likelihood of the price coming up and then slowing down. Once again, 12 hours of continuation is the likelihood here. We should see at least another 12 to 24 hours of bullish momentum, but just bear in mind, it doesn't hurt to take profits while you still can. Try not to be super greedy. It's important to understand that, as a trader, if you don't take profits when you have the opportunity, sure, you might make 2 or 3 times as much later, but you're going to lose more often than not based on the simple fact that you're holding too long and you let it reverse. You kind of got to, there's a happy medium, of course. I teach these trading styles in my trading academy, but generally speaking, at this point in time, if you're going to take anything away from this, make sure you're cautious. You move your stop loss up higher, if nothing else, and maybe consider taking part of your profits and taking the rest later because it's not super overextended, but it's getting close, right? And it's only doing well right now because Bitcoin's doing average, okay? Again, Sandbox has been held down for some time. It's only inevitable for it to bounce back. It's a very good coin, and I do think that we have strong long-term potential. But if you're going to be holding for a short amount of time, that timer might be coming to an end, but it also could break to the upside too, right? I know it's a stupid thing, right? 50-50, it could go either way. Again, the likelihood of it breaking through here is higher. I do think that. But how much longer it'll go past that is yet to be seen, because oftentimes you get this exhaustion at a 9 on TD sequential, and we're at a 6 on the 4 hour, right? So we got 3 more candlesticks worth of continuation of the upside. If it doesn't break that resistance here in about 12 hours, you may want to consider taking profits, because it probably won't. It'll turn around if it doesn't, okay? All right, something to think about. I hope you learned something here today. Apologize for the rambles. I hope that you can find benefit, of course, from my content. If you're new to the channel, again, welcome. Feel free to look through some of my content. I actually have a lot of videos explaining what these indicators mean and how to use them more effectively. But if you want a hands-on approach, consider joining my community first of the month, obviously because of the simple fact that we're rolling out with a website platform, and it's going to provide you with a trading academy and obviously chat, signals, the whole 9 yards. We're also including futures trading too next month as well, right? To ensure we can take advantage of some of those short terms, or those the short trades, right? So ultimately, some things to think about. But I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.